Okay, so we are now recording, and hello, ACARE staff. It's just the four of us here, and we just did some introductions, and now we're going to talk together about a couple of key questions. So as folks got a chance to say a little bit about why they're here and where they're from, what they're interested in, one of my questions just specifically for this group, I mean, obviously, we all have a strong interest in science, and I was just wondering if you all could share a little bit about what you think were some things that were really helpful to you along your path to either mentoring others in science, as you do, Cheryl, or having your careers focused on science, as Salatu and Jean-Pierre. What were some particular moments in time or people or experiences that helped you to be so interested in science for yourselves and for teaching others? Would everyone be willing to share a little bit about that? Anyone want to jump in? Okay. Jean-Pierre, do you want to start?
Okay, maybe.
Oh, Isolatu, go for it.
Yeah, yeah. I just want to say maybe about inspiration.
Yeah.
I was being inspired by my lecturer from university. She was doing research work, so at that time I was like, why not me? That's my inspiration. Yeah.
And what was the topic? Like, what was she lecturing on?
She was actually doing about invertebrates.
Oh, okay. Very cool.
Yeah.
And Jean-Pierre, what about you?
Okay. Initially, it was my parents who pushed me to do science. But then afterward, when I started working on Lake Kivu, Dr. Natasha was my role model. So I said, what if I do like her? She's the person who inspired me to continue my studies and to work more in immunology.
Very cool. And I missed the very beginning of what you said. Who is she?
Natasha.
Oh,
yeah.
Cool. Okay,
she was working on Lake Kivu.
Yeah.
And I really loved how she was. She liked her work, and I said, I have to be like her. So for me, she's the person who inspired me to do immunology.
I love that. And both of you have stories where it was, a person who was inspiring you because they loved their work, because they were passionate about that work. What about you, Cheryl?
I do think that education is the equalizer. And so we're really focused on exposing our youth participants to the knowledge that they need, but also careers that exist and getting them to think about emerging careers. So that's why, or businesses, just thinking about how they can move forward and help society on a larger scale. So having personal connections with people who are working in the fields that they're studying has proven to be very successful because, as we know, the four of us know representation matters, and being able to see someone who, even though they may not have had the same experience as you, can identify and perhaps empathize. It's very empowering, and so that's where we are. We just want to bring as much knowledge as we can to our participants, and also show them real life people, especially women, especially emerging nations doing work that's much needed. To be able to have that connection would be amazing.
Yeah. Well, and your comment about representation matters. I think when I started my career as a science teacher, one of the things that was so interesting to me was thinking about both, just the representation of being a woman science teacher, but also I realized in talking with other teachers in my school who are teaching science, who were men, that I had a really different style. And whether it was because I was a woman, I was much more project-based in my teaching, and I think I found different ways to engage the students using the arts, using different ways to connect science to the real world. And my background is also in environmental education. So I think, there's a certain, representation both in your gender, but also in your methodology and ways that you interact with others. So, I do think that's really important. And when I was curious, when you said you wanted for your students to be able to connect them with scientists, and particularly here, women scientists from around the world, could you tell me a little bit, do you have a plan for how you want to do that, or what you think could result from an experience like that? And while Cheryl's talking, my other question, Isolatu and Janvier, for you after she finishes, is to think about, are there ways that you're interested in connecting as, a role model, a woman in science, and how that might fit into your life priorities? So Cheryl, first to you, what are your thoughts about, how that could transpire and what some of the outcomes could be?
Yes. So our NASA grant is for the implementation of a remote learning opportunity. So we have both in-person, as hopefully we'll be able to do in-person instruction, but also online. So we have synchronous and asynchronous learning opportunities. So we can integrate video calls, taped segments, even if someone wanted to share video from their day, a day in the life of a scientist, and let's say that Asalatu took footage when she was working in her lake. We could integrate that into our lessons. Even using social media to stay connected, our participants, we could moderate some conversations. So we're able to do it in ways that it wouldn't be a tremendous time drain for those of you who are in the field, but just sharing your experience, and perhaps we could set up some times when we could have some live Q&A, or it may need to be moderated because they are under 18 years of age. But just having that connection in whatever way would make sense for the women scientists.
And I guess on the other side of this, obviously, Cheryl's you're being clear about not wanting to create more work for others in the world. But I think, given what you both said, Isolatu and Janvier, about having had your own role models and, women who are passionate about science who inspired you, is this something that you have done where you have served as a mentor in some way for other young women, or that you would be interested in? And what do you think would be either, a positive or difficult for you in doing that kind of a thing? Janvier, okay, go ahead, Asalatu.
I don't know, maybe I can say as a woman, doing science is a little bit difficult. Especially when I started my master's, I had family already. Yes. So it was difficult. And I think I had a family who were very supportive, and I thank them. Yeah, I think that's all I can say about challenges, a woman. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Janvier, what about you?
To me, I think that there is first those societal beliefs that science is not made for women. And sometimes we keep hearing that, and it finishes by, we end by leaving that. We end by believing that we cannot do science. But with a commitment, we can do that. I also believe that when you belong to a group of scientists, women scientists, who can share the experiences, you also, your confidence grows. And you can achieve more. So now you start growing, you start believing in yourself, and you start believing that you are capable of doing science. But when you remain alone, when you doesn't grow, when you don't believe to a group, a scientific group, then you continue to believe that you cannot do that, that science is made for men. But that's not what I believe. Of course, it is demanding, and when you have a family, it is not that easy. But when you are committed and you know what you are in it, it works.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. Well, and I think, you know, one of the questions I have for this group is, what's your vision? Like, what do you think is possible, but maybe it doesn't seem so possible right now, but what do you want to see happen? Say, you know, 5 years from now, both, you know, thinking about your own career, but also what do you think is possible to change, or do you see changing for women in science? You know, one of the comments after my presentation, Fabrice said, you know, this is really important, and I think the time is now. I see a shift happening now for women in science. Would you agree, disagree? What do you think is possible, say 5 years from now, for women in science, and what do we need to do to make it happen?
In 5 years, on my side, for myself, my wish is to have completed my PhD. But for the for women community, my wish is to see more women going into science, and more specifically, like here, when we talk about science, it is mostly chemistry, physics, biology. But my wish is to see women who use that science in aquatic system now. Yeah, because from previous presentations, we saw that there are a number of issues, a number of problems happening in aquatic ecosystems. So it's high time to use our scientific knowledge to solve those issues. That's what I wish to see in the coming years.
Great, thank you. Isalatu, what about you?
For me, I wish for the coming years, first to finish my postdoc studies, and I think I wish most is to to stand on my own with doing projects as a woman and a young science career, to study on my own and pass the knowledge to others and inspire more. Mostly I wish for to inspire young girls to study science more, as I know that it is possible to do science and they can do it. Yeah. That's all.
Yeah, no, it's a really, well, first of all, I wish you both good luck as you are working on your degrees and finishing your work there. But yeah, it's inspiring to hear you talk about you know, the possibilities that you see and how we can make it happen. And Cheryl, what about you, for you and or for your students?
For our project, I would love to have an international network and international participation, the international participation of young people. I think that what I've learned about aquaponics over the past 4 years it's changed my life. And this pandemic, where I am located, it's put a lot more emphasis on how we eat, what we eat, and food justice issues. And so I would like to see the young people who participate in our program emerge as critical thinkers, hopefully with an interest in science, some form of science, but I would like for this to inform how they live the rest of their lives. When it comes to their daily dietary choices, as well as how they see our world and also space. I have to give credit to our National Space Organization here, but you know, how can they be explorers in the coming years? I would love to see that.
Yeah, no, that's great. I will follow up with you about another program that I'm involved with that involves developing a youth network. So
Great.
it's not funded yet, but it's something that I'm helping to lay some groundwork for. So I'll follow up with you by email.
Very good.
Yeah, and I think here with ACARE's work, thinking about how we develop a network of women scientists, and to be able to both inspire each other and inspire others to see what's possible. You know, that's definitely part of the plan for the African Women in Science program that we hope to be launching. We plan to launch in February of this year. So it would be cool to figure out if there's a way to connect some of those women in that program with what you're trying to do also. You know, figure out ways to stay connected and you know, really build on the work and share the work across geographies, across sectors, to be able to, as we said, inspire and teach and you know, build the next generation of women scientists globally. So I think that's really important to talk about and think about. One other question that I have for you all. In terms of, I'm just looking at my list here. Hey, Stella, welcome. I don't know if you can speak yet, but we're glad you're here. You're muted. So if you
thank you so much, Steph.
Hi.
I'm right here. I'm sorry I had to go to the first group because our convener told me that he was moving out, so I wanted to listen in. But I think, yeah, I've had enough. I would really love to be here and listen in.
Great. We're really happy to have you here. We've been talking about you know, a couple things related to our own personal goals and visions for African women in science. We started with just doing some introductions, and I would love it if you wouldn't mind. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but we're a small, friendly group. Just saying a few words about yourself. So, you know, who you are, where you are, what your interest in African women in science is, and then of course your particular work and focus. Go right ahead. We'll turn it over to you and listen to what you have to say.
Thank you so much, Steph, for the floor. My name is Babazi Stella. I'm a senior fisheries officer with the Ministry of Agriculture and More Industry and Fisheries in Uganda.
Mm-hmm.
Currently, I'm in Entebbe, but I'm also an active member of the Lake Victoria Advisory Group. I work as their secretary, but I'm also part of the policy and communication subcommittees. Actually, my actual interests in women in science, I actually one time applied. It's really a very interesting innovation because to me, gender is a very big issue, especially that I've worked with several women groups on the lake. So my major interest is actually to see how we can foster and add value to these women, regardless of whether they are educated or not, but turning the local science that they have into something more socioeconomic for them. Like I've been working with the small pelagic fish for some good time, close to now 8 years. And it is really a very good area of interest for me. I've worked with different groups, not only on Lake Victoria, but also on Lake Albert. So I'm seeing a lot of women are deriving their livelihoods from there. And to me, it's an area of interest and want to see how can local science be turned into something better and more socioeconomic. That is what I'm really particularly interested in. And if I am to go ahead and maybe do some work, I would really be more interested in doing that.
Great. Yeah, it's fascinating to hear and so important. As I talked about in my presentation, you know, certainly these systems are so interconnected, and the socioeconomic aspects of this are critical. And, you know, obviously, as I said, you know, I'm not an African woman, but when I look at the issues, they're similar globally. We have to be able to figure out how to make this work at all different levels to be able to have more sustainable lifestyles, and to be able to sorry, I've been talking too much today. And to be able to really, build within those systems at multiple levels and make it all work better than it currently does. So I appreciate what you're saying. So I think my question to this group, and I think we'll just maybe talk for until half past the hour. So, another 5 to 10 minutes here, if you all can stay. My other question was, I wanted to know what your thoughts are on, also Stella, just quickly, we have Isalatu and Janvier who are both engaged in on the African side of things in science, and then Cheryl, who is from the US, who works at a nonprofit and works with youth, particularly the majority being women, it sounds like, doing hydroponics and other related work through a grant that she has. So she's been sharing some of that information. So here, as we talk about what it's going to take to get to, we were talking about the vision that we want to see, the change we think we can see in the next, say 5 years or so. What are ideas you have to be able to shape this work? What do you think is needed to achieve sort of these shorter and longer term successes? What would be some game changers to really help make this change happen? So I'm asking a question about, how to shape the work, how to kind of change the game that we currently have to make it work better. What do you think it's going to take to achieve some of these shorter and longer term successes? Anyone who wants to can jump right in.
I'll be very blunt.
Great.
For us, money, to be able to have a stable or multiple stable sources of funding, in particular multi-year funding, so that we could see that continuity and not have to stop, on a yearly basis and reapply or ask some answer some pretty basic questions so that the next funder can get on board. But also collaboration. I think that in learning about ACARE, that's something that has really impressed me. The willingness of everyone to come together, and also the focus on harmonizing the work. Mm-hmm. I think that's a lesson that I want to apply to my little part of the world, and the people that we're interacting with. That focus on harmonization really spoke to me.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, Janvier, thanks for your message. It sounds like you're saying you had some internet problems, but we're glad you're back. I don't know, I just saw your message, so thank you. Well, who else would like to share something about that? Thank you so much, Cheryl.
My side, actually would like to thank the previous presenter. It's actually very important that there is stable funding, but then also having a clear program layout would be very important. But then also having, at a particular stage, we may have to get models, because once you have a model, it's very easy for you to convince the others to come in and be part of the program, or also to benefit, because at the end of the day, one might learn from the other. So creating models, I see it as something good.
Yeah, I love that idea of and when you say models, are you thinking about, I guess, do you have an example, or are you thinking just about sort of a framework, or when you see the steps that are needed to be taken?
I'm actually thinking beyond that, that if the program is to be rolled out, the first beneficiaries who score high should be like role models, kind of like something like that.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thanks for that clarification. And then I think we may have lost Asalatu, but let's just wrap up. Janvier, if you've got some thoughts on this topic and what you think is needed, I'd love to hear them.
I think to achieve the objectives of the program, We also have to give an importance to those young girls.
Mm-hmm.
That's where it starts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if from a young age you know and understand the importance of doing science, then you grow in that field, then for sure you will become a good scientist who will also motivate others,
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
young girls to do science. So if we start with the young ones, of course those who are experienced have to be like role models to the young ones. Then if our young generation is well trained, understand the importance of doing science, we are sure that the future generation also will be in it.
Yeah, it's I love the theme of role models here. I mean, it's quite a responsibility, but it's also quite an honor, I think, to be able to serve as a role model. So I appreciate what you're saying. Isolatu, do you want to share a few things? I'm glad you're back. I know internet connections can be difficult, so thank you all for being persistent. Keep coming back. Yeah, we'd love to hear. Oh, I think we lost you again. Okay, well, I guess, I don't know, do you all have a way, I wanted to just take a quick screenshot. If you all have a way to turn your cameras on just for a minute, and I would just take a quick screenshot. Still, I don't know, I haven't seen you yet. Do you have a camera? Oh, hi. Okay, I'm just gonna take a quick, I know, right? A quick screenshot of all of us. Everybody smile at the camera. All right, that is perfect. Okay, great. If that's okay with you, I will I may share that on my social media. Is that okay with everyone? This is a highlight for me today. Okay, thank you. This is such a highlight for me today to be able to talk with you all about a topic that's so important to me. And I think there are so many ways for us to continue working together, and that's critical, and we'll make it happen moving forward. So Stella and Jean-Pierre, I know how to stay in touch with both of you, and Isolatu also, who's not here. But Cheryl, thank you for sharing your contact info. We'll pull you into the fold here. And I'm going to stop recording the session and sign off, and just wish everyone healthy, sending healthy vibes, and just really thank you so much for being part of this session together. It was really nice to talk together. Yeah. Have a great evening, day, whatever time it is for you. Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Thank you all.
It's great.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Merry
Bye.
Christmas. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yes,
You
Merry
too.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Bye.